In this video series, we're going to talk about architecture. Okay, so I got a lot of shots of architecture here, and we're going to start with Asheville because Asheville's got some really cool things to look at architecturally that aren't just forms and shapes, but have art and murals, and it's just a really cool, fun city to take architectural photos of. And so I took some pictures of some architecture in Asheville. This is filling the screen here. Okay. And this was down an alley. And you see the chair right here? The chair made the difference between this being a good photo and it being a boring, forgettable photo. Now, it's not the greatest thing I've ever shot, but it's a good photo. And here's why. Chairs are going to be a prop that change the entire composition from mediocre to terrific. And it's because humans sit in chairs. And there are all kinds of chairs. And chairs have personality. Chairs sort of represent the personality of humans. There are people that have sat there. There's stories that chairs tell. And I gotta imagine not all of them good. But in this case, someone had wheeled a chair out back. This is the back of the building, and they were probably using it for break. And they left it. And the chair is great because it's my subject. Otherwise, I have no subject. I have this really cool back of a building that I want to photograph, but without the chair, there's no subject. Look at that eye. Isn't that beautiful? Did a good job painting that eye. Brick, and then a mural on the brick, and a chair. And this is a good photo. I think we're going this way this time, backwards. I don't know, I was trying something and it just didn't work. I was trying to take a photo. I wanted to get down on the ground, and I was having a hard time taking this one because cars were going by and people were walking by, and I just was in the way, and I couldn't quite get what I wanted, and I don't think I liked any of these. None of these really turned out the way I had wanted them to. But I do still want to share something with you from this photo. You don't want to just take a picture of a flat face of a building for the most part. In this case, I really liked the stripes on the building and how these really cool things going on. I think it was a toy store. It was November, so the leaves had fallen off the tree. I could see through the tree. But in and of itself, just taking a face of a building most of the time is just kind of boring. So what this photo has that works well is I'm on the other side of the street and I'm showing the crosswalk. I'm showing how to get to the store. And I've got, other buildings around it. And it's still not where I wanted it to be, and it still wasn't what I was seeing in my head. But it's worth talking about the fact that the foreground down here, because with architectural shots, you want to follow similar rules to landscape photography, with having a foreground, having a background, having a subject, and that's all of those elements are here. The framing of it just didn't quite turn out. This is a great use of repetition of the chairs, repetition of the shadows. There was a guardrail here made out of iron, just like the chairs. The repetition of the patterns or the signs on the guardrail, the shadows they were casting. The windows are creating repetition. There's repetition with the brick. So you have all this repetition, you have all this bright color, and yet the subject matter is this dude sitting here drinking his beer because he's different from the rest of the scene. I focused on the table instead of the guy, and you probably should focus on the human. Most people want to see the human, the story is the human. Here I used him as background, so he's a little out of focus. But I probably should have made him in focus, and that probably would have made it a stronger photo. Because everything really, the repetition around this is not the story. The story is, what's he thinking about? He's sitting, is he waiting for someone? Is he thinking about someone? Is he celebrating? Is he sad, happy, mad, right? So he's the story. He should have been the main focus in my shot. I love this one. There are no people in this shot, but what I like about this is I've used this open window. They had a rolling window, so there's no glass. So it was great because you could see inside as well as outside without any reflections. Because you see where there's glass, there are reflections. So I got close enough to the building and I turned at an angle. So I got really close to the building. You could see the brick, see the patterns in the brick. You could see down the street, you could see the sign for the restaurant. There's a lot going on here with perspective. Got the warm colors in the background and the blue here. But what's great about this is the focal point is this table. And in this table, there's no one left. It's the ruins of their meal. And that is kind of always interesting to us whenever we see things that people have left. What was the story? Because there clearly was a time when there was none of this on the table, or there was nothing happening. The people are gone. Where are the people? Why are there no people? It just kind of is mysterious. And mystery is great at drawing people in and allowing them to sort of help determine the story they see. There are people here, but you can't really see them. This is very busy, very interesting. It's a good start, but it's not a great shot. I think if this were to be a better shot, the person would be the point of subject matter. Okay, somewhere, I actually worked on this somewhere, and I don't know where I actually darkened everything around and made the people inside more visible. Now you can see with the person here, you can see her. And because she's very close to the glass, you can see her very well. And I also, like I said, I processed this so you could see these. There are two more people right here, and I made it so you could see them as well. And the whole idea is, there are people inside this restaurant, and they were watching me take their picture, and I think I'm like right here. I kind of blended in with the table, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to see where I was. But you can see the people looking out, and they add interest. If I had just taken a picture of a building by itself, I'm not saying you can't, because I did in the previous shot, but in this case, the people kind of made it interesting. They added another dimension to my story. This kind of goes back to the original photo where I said there was a chair, and the chair became my subject, and here it is, different building, but same context, no chair. And so it's, okay, it's fine, but I guess what could be interesting is there's a plant growing right there in the middle of all this urban concrete, but I don't know, not a great shot. One of the cool things you can do with architecture, like faces, you can crop them and people still know what they are, right? If I take a picture of a face and I chop off the head, part of the head, and side of the face, and the chin, and the other side of the face, people know it's a face. And it can make for an interesting composition to do that. And the same thing with architecture. Here I zoomed in on the details. You can't see details across the street. If I wanted to take a picture of this whole building, you would lose the details. My goal here was to try to capture the details. I don't know, not great, but there are a lot of good things about this. The angle, the contrast between the colors, the door becomes the subject, but it's not an exciting subject. Okay, so this has boxes. Someone has moved in and they have left their boxes outside. And that kind of tells a story, right? Those boxes become my subject. The nice thing about this building is it's got all these different textures and colors and patterns, and it creates this really interesting tapestry of architectural elements: windows, brick, stone, glass block, and it shouldn't work. This is a prime example of breaking the rules. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different colors, when really you want to mostly work with 3 or 4, 5. But all those colors work because they happen to work together. If you go to any website where you can pick colors and start working with color, you'll see that this blue and this blue are next to each other on the color wheel. And this green is next to this blue. So I now have these 3 colors next to each other. And if I go across the color wheel, I have this red, which is this red. And next to it, it's adjacencies. So we sort of have pairs of adjacent colors, and it works because we have these blue greens and these red oranges, and those are complementary. And it works because even though there are 10 different colors, they're all still very close to each other on the color wheel in terms of the blue greens and the red oranges. Chair makes the image. Without that chair, it's a boring photo. I have a subject, and it's a really cool subject, and it's very different because it's got that green cushion, causes it to pop up against all that red. Oh, that was interesting. It was a head in a window. It's a mannequin, but it was kind of interesting. Not great, but interesting. Just showing you a couple here. That didn't work out. I was trying to take some pictures of some cages, but the contrast in the trees was making this way too bright, and I lost all the detail of the bird cages. That was the original photo that you guys have seen where I made everything black and white and left the labels colored, and now you can see why the one I showed you first is the better photo. This is minimalistic, but it works because my subject is the mural on the door. Just trying to get some texture. No subject, really. It's okay. That chicken mural is fabulous. And it is in and of itself enough to be the subject and the architecture. And there's the chicken mural. Just zoomed in. I went over there and took that's a better shot of it. It's kind of hard to see it here at all. If I hadn't pointed it out, you might have not even seen it. The flowers in the foreground and help make the church interesting. And then I got low and at an angle. Glasses lead to the patio. Just some interesting mural. Looking in the building. It's really dark in here though, so this isn't a great shot. I was trying to work with some stuff. The light was too bright. Those are okay, but let's see. Actually, I have the better one somewhere else. I have to go find it. Okay, we're going to stop this one here now and continue in the next video.